11 miles per hour out there. Definitely higher. Switching now to world news, President Joe Biden wrapping up his overseas trip today. This comes after delivering a very fiery speech ahead of the one-year anniversary of Russia's war in Ukraine.
That's right. And during his 20-minute speech, President Biden called the war in Ukraine a test for the ages and warned of a long-term fight for freedom. NBC's Bree Jackson is in Washington with more.
President Biden spending his last day in Poland with the so-called Bucharest Nine, the 9 NATO countries most at risk from an attack from Russia.
As NATO's eastern flank, you're in the front lines of our collective defense, and you know better than anyone what's at stake in this conflict.
The meeting comes one day after President Biden spoke in Warsaw.
1 year into this war, Putin no longer doubts the strength of our coalition.
It was a day of speeches by two leaders with two vastly different views of the war. Vladimir Putin, addressing his nation, showed no signs of backing off.
They started the war, and we used the force in order to stop it.
Putin raising tensions by suspending Russia's participation in the last remaining nuclear arms control pact with the U.S. And two U.S. officials tell NBC News Russia launched an intercontinental ballistic missile before President Biden's trip to Europe. The test is thought to have failed. The official says it was routine and the U.S. was informed ahead of time.
One thing he is going to do wherever he can is be as annoying as possible to the United States. He's also going to kind of rattle that nuclear saber. He's done it several times.
President Biden vowing to stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes.
Together, we'll continue our enduring support for Ukraine as they defend their freedom.
1 year into the conflict, though, Americans are growing weary. The latest NBC News poll shows 50% disagree with President Biden's handling of the war in Ukraine. In an effort to ramp up the pressure on Putin to end the war in Ukraine, President Biden announced a new round of sanctions aimed at 200 individuals and entities believed to be helping Russia evade sanctions. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.